but engagement is trying to understand the work where it is, rather than where you want it to be or where you are. Accessible art is easily appreciated, but that doesn't mean that challenging art cannot or should not be appreciated as well. I'm being too abstract. Let me use a more concrete example. Let's use Michelangelo's Pieta, the most famous expression of the Pieta, Italian for pity, which is a classic Renaissance artistic theme, depicting the body of Jesus in the lap of his mother Mary after the crucifixion. I picked this example for the obvious reason that the film renders its own Pieta portrayal, but let's consider the potential for inaccessibility with Michelangelo's Pieta. If you view it knowing nothing, the scene might seem grotesque, confusing, and a dark mess. Why is this beautiful woman cradling the body of a half-naked, bearded man? Without context and with a fault-finding closed mind, one could begin to attack the piece because of how disproportionately large Mary's lap must be to accommodate Jesus, declaring that an execution error by somebody who doesn't know human proportions or doesn't know how to sculpt them accurately. And given the grave subject, you might condemn the piece as joyless, morbid, and a colossal waste of premium marble and funding. Now, let's take another point of view. Perhaps you have a vague understanding of the story, but you're not personally invested, or maybe you're even hostile towards it. You have an issue with religion, for example. Then you might be prone to the politics behind it. You see it as a propaganda piece, and you dislike it. Your hostility or skepticism towards the subject matter would undermine that aspect of the work. Now let's try another point of view. Maybe you know the story, and in fact, you are sincerely and deeply devoted, and you bristle at anyone questioning your devotion. Let's say you are a biblical scholar who finds this piece confrontational. Why? Well, you can cite chapter and verse, and you know that biblically, the Pieta never occurred, and that historically, biblically, and religiously, it would have been a practice deemed unclean if it had occurred. Further, by virtue of being his mother, Mary is actually older, but Michelangelo's Pieta depicts Mary with a youthful face. A fault-finding mentality then condemns the work and ascribes motives or mistakes rather than trying to find a reason or understanding. That kind of critic might assume that Michelangelo doesn't know the story, the characters, or how to handle it. That critic might act as if Michelangelo was the first to portray the Pieta without prior reading or reference. However, our final point of view looks upon the work with the greatest appreciation and, accordingly, the greatest reward. If the underlying story and reference is of meaning to them, they can look upon it and have a profound sense of emotion tied to the event, the symbolism, and its execution. It's tied to their own devotion and their understanding of the scene. That person looking to appreciate the work with an open mind may know that it's not historically accurate, but tries to determine what the work is saying and tries to find the meaning, and they gain an appreciation for the elements and the execution. The scene is familiar instead of confusing, and they experience empathy instead of disgust, hope within the darkness. Instead of being disturbed by Mary's proportions, they marvel at how Michelangelo brings to life the folds of cloth to hide her figure and convey so dramatic and artful a pose, naturalistic enough even if not strictly realistic. Instead of lamenting the waste of marvel on something so morbid, they marvel at the extravagance of something so specific and meaningful. Instead of declaring, "That's not my Mary," and alleging that Michelangelo just wanted to put a pretty face on Mary without respect for the source story, a seeking person does the research, and they realize that Michelangelo was well versed in prior depictions of the Pieta, deeply devout and clearly capable of casting Mary differently, but intentionally did otherwise. The seeker may learn that Michelangelo gave her a youthful visage to symbolize purity, or found that Michelangelo was well versed in and influenced by Dante, and loved to reference Dante's clever paradoxical line, "O Virgin Mother, daughter of thy Son." The discovery, exploration, mystery, and answers become a part of the appreciation. And that process gets short-circuited and short-changed by short-sighted declarations of incompetence or assumption of error. Every time somebody says, quote, "doesn't understand these characters," unquote, without knowing the filmmaker's love and research in this area, they're robbing themselves of an opportunity to understand and appreciate. I'd rather be the critic who deeply enjoys exploring a piece by seeking, instead of the critic who dismisses everything based on alleged fault.